Thank you, one and all. Can I start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we gather and pay my respects to elders past and present? Can I acknowledge our President of the party, John Badhams, our State Secretary, Evan Moorhead, and Assistant Secretary, John Pursley? Can I acknowledge my Deputy Premier, Jackie Trad, the Treasurer, Curtis Pitt, and all of my Cabinet and caucus team? Can they please stand up and let's give them a warm Queensland welcome to the Gold Coast. What a great team. Can I acknowledge our federal representatives that are here and our council representatives? Can I acknowledge the Labor movement? My family, friends, delegates, one and all. What a privilege it is to stand here before you as Premier of our amazing state. To stand here at the Gold Coast Convention Centre, built by Labor. Just outside is the Gold Coast Light Rail, built by Labor. And many of you would know that you can catch the light rail all the way up to the Gold Coast University Hospital, once again built by Labor. And you'll also know that the stage 2 of the light rail is being built, once again by Labor. Everywhere you look here on the Gold Coast, the heavy rail line from Helensvale to Coomera, which is under construction, the Metricon Stadium, Skilled Park, Robina Hospital upgrades, even the Tugun bypass, that is the legacy of Labor. Public infrastructure on the Gold Coast has been built by Labor governments, and all of us should be incredibly proud of it. And I can tell you similar stories right across our great state. Because building is what Labor does. Because building creates jobs for Queenslanders. Friends, the Labor history I speak of has particular resonance this year, our 125th anniversary. From the very earliest days of the Labor movement to now, ours has been an enduring battle for fairness, for equality, for progress and for opportunity. You only had to listen to Bob Hawke and Barcaldine earlier this year to understand that. Like many of us, Bob made the trip to Barkey for the 125th anniversary of the shearers' strike. And I must tell you that Bob's spirited singing of the red flag at the Barkey showground was unforgettable. He's still got it. And out there in Western Queensland, listening to Bob's words and reflecting on his remarkable contribution to our nation reminded me again of why we are all here. We are here to serve the people of Queensland, to listen to them and to deliver for them. And that's what drives each and one of us, all the delegates here. It drives our branch members to fight the good fight. It drives our MPs on the floor of Parliament. It drives everyone. And it drives our Cabinet as well, because we want an economy that helps Queensland to prosper. And that's why I'm so incredibly proud of our record of just over 18 months in government. Just as we promised, Queensland now has more jobs, faster growth than the rest of the nation, lower debt, more frontline services after the savage LNP cuts. And what does that mean? More doctors, more nurses, more AMBOs, more police officers, more teachers, more teacher aides, right across our vast state. A budget in surplus and the highest business confidence in our nation. And we've done it without selling our income-generating assets. We kept our promise to Queenslanders and we kept our promise to the great Australian Labor Party. A big part of our success in getting the balance right between powering up traditional sectors and embracing new opportunities. And let's have a look at our resources and our agricultural sectors. Our coal prices are up, sugar prices are up, our beef prices are up. But I want to translate that into more jobs and more investment sooner rather than later. Our retail sector is leading the nation. Construction activity, both public and private, is growing. And my government is playing a major role in that. In fact, the most recent economic figures show that our infrastructure investment is driving domestic economic growth. Our $40 billion capital works program is designed to help regional communities across our state and to create tens of thousands of jobs. And whether it's big projects like the Gold Coast Light Rail Stage 2 or our $395 million boost to the school maintenance program, that investment is giving jobs to tradies right across our state and to other workers. And we've moved to directly tackle Queensland's regional unemployment challenges through our Back to Work program. And I think everybody sitting in this room, and many of you are delegates from right across our state, know that we have a two-speed economy at the moment. And whilst employment opportunities are very good in the southeast of our state, regional Queensland is hurting. And that is why my government listened, and that is why we injected in our budget $100 million to give the opportunity for people to get back into work, because that's what Labor does. We will stop at nothing to drive job generation, and I've tasked my ministers to work overtime to tackling youth unemployment, because frankly, friends, it's too high. We need to make sure our young people have the skills that they need to have long-term employment prospects. And while our investment and the rebound of our traditional sectors will play a big part in the resurgent strength of the economy, we are also on the cusp of a once-in-a-generation tourism boom, and the facts back that up. Tourism is a $23 billion industry, and over the next 4 years, the sector will create more than 20,000 new jobs. Brisbane and here on the Gold Coast have the largest international visitation numbers on record. The additional flights that we have secured into the Gold Coast, Brisbane and Cairns will bring 500,000 extra visitors to Queensland and over $400 million a year. Big investors are now looking at us closely with $12 billion worth of tourism infrastructure investment on the books, meaning more jobs for construction workers as well. And whilst we facilitate investment and activity in the traditional sectors, we are ensuring that work continues on the big job generators of the future. For instance, take the NDIS, for example, a game-changing social reform, and it's a job generator as well. We will need a further 20,000 jobs over the coming year as we transition to the NDIS. And not to mention industries like aged care, with massive investment leading to tens of thousands of jobs as well. And our emerging biofuel sector will see the integration of new technology with our age-old agricultural sector, creating regional jobs at the same time. New industries like biofuels will help take up the slack with some of our traditional jobs come under pressure. And our Advanced Queensland agenda is central to all of this because it has an eye to the future. People ask me why I'm so passionate about innovation and science and startups. The answer is simple. If we get it right, we'll create more jobs. I don't want the pharmaceutical discoveries that are being made at our research institutions and at our universities going offshore to Singapore, to Silicon Valley. I want those jobs here, the commercialisation here in Queensland. And my God, we can do it. But I also believe that getting that economic balance between traditional sectors and new industries right is the key to having a fairer, more prosperous economy for everyone. I saw the Prime Minister, Malcolm Turnbull, on TV this week saying that the federal LNP government was all about fairness. I thought I was watching a comedy channel. It was actually a press conference. I'm not sure the expectant mums facing paid parental leave cuts think that's fair. I'm not sure that low-wage earners think massive superannuation tax breaks for the top 1% and tax cuts for the biggest companies in Australia is fair either. And I don't think that working people think attacking their industrial rights is fair. I had to laugh when Tim Nicholls became the LNP leader and announced his new shadow cabinet. Who was the IR spokesperson? That great champion of the workers, the union whisperer, Jared Blay.
Hey.
I mean, you've got more chance of winning Powerball than you would have of trying to rely on Jared Blay to keep your job. We still think he's their greatest asset. As ever, it's only Labor that's interested in protecting the jobs of working people. I have written personally to the Fair Work Commission arguing against the proposed cuts to penalty rates that would leave already low-paid workers worse off. And at the state level, we will tackle the issue of corporate structures and dodgy labour hire arrangements who seek to undermine workers' wages and conditions. We are right now doing detailed work on proper labour hire licensing regime to outlaw dodgy operators once and for all in this state. My government is proud of restoring workers' compensation rights for injured workers and their families and restoring workers' conditions stripped away by Campbell Newman and his right-hand man, Tim Nicholls. We are proud of restoring the right of workplace health and safety reps to enter work sites to help protect workers from danger. Because we know that every worker and their family has the right to expect to return home safe. And sadly, the recent tragic workplace incident at Eagle Farm reminds us that that is not always the case. And of course, that matter is being fully investigated, as is the Dreamworld tragedy. Workplace health and safety is investigating, but I think it's important that we have a much broader look at these issues. And that's why my government will establish a best practice audit of workplace health and safety processes starting from today. It is simply not enough for us to be compliant with our current laws. We need to be sure our laws keep pace with international research and new technologies. The audit will also consider whether existing penalties are sufficient to act as deterrents and whether these should be strengthened to contain provisions relating to gross negligence causing death. Because we in the Labor movement know how important safety is. And that's why Queensland has the best record in Australia at prosecuting employers for negligence. And we are now examining current regulations to see if there are any further measures that we can take to discourage these unsafe practices. My government will put workers' rights, wages and conditions, and of course workplace safety at the heart of everything that we do. Because living in Queensland is a way of life and it's important to us. Having a job, putting food on the table, that's important to people. But so is ensuring that we have a fairer society. That we aren't just tolerant, that we are welcoming, as Bill stated earlier. Good governments can deliver stronger economy and progressive laws at the same time. At least Labor governments can. And I want to thank you, our party members, for the role you have played in helping to deliver these reforms. Let me go through some of them. Everyone in this room should be incredibly proud. We have begun the process of reforming the statute of limitation laws for victims of institutional child sexual abuse. We have reformed alcohol-fuelled violence laws to stop our young people being admitted to hospital or consequently losing their life. We are delivering on our promise to remove 17-year-olds from adult prisons. We campaigned for and won a public referendum for 4-year fixed parliamentary terms. We have implemented a more transparent political donations process, and next year we will have in place real-time disclosure. And we have introduced into the Queensland Parliament the most comprehensive organised crime laws in the country, targeting all forms of serious organised crime, including child sexual exploitation. We are tearing down gay panic defence laws. We have changed the age of consent. We've introduced new laws and poured massive resources into reducing domestic and family violence. And one of the first things we did as a government was to reinstate civil partnerships, and we didn't have to have a plebiscite. And I can also announce today that Cabinet has agreed to introduce a Human Rights Act for Queensland based on the Victorian Charter of Human Rights and Responsibilities Act 2006, delivering on yet another of our election commitments. Friends, just yesterday I hosted the Prime Minister and my COAG colleagues in Brisbane for the first ever National COAG Summit looking at preventing domestic and family violence. It's something that I personally called for and argued for with the COAG leaders. This was really important. It was important personally for me, and in fact it was important personally to all the other leaders in the room. And in that room we had over 190 leaders and practitioners from all over our nation who want to tackle the scourge of domestic and family violence. And what we have seen is an increased awareness of this issue. The public education campaign, and unfortunately the public deaths that we have seen so recently and so tragically, means that domestic and family violence is now out of the shadows. And it is something, as Bill talked about earlier, it's something that we all need to address. It is so crucial, it is so important, because it damages lives, it damages families. And I'm so proud that my government is investing over $200 million to tackle these issues. It's only a first step, but it's a good first step to make sure that we protect the women who are fleeing domestic and family violence. And together we will make a difference. Another issue I'd like to share with you today, and it's one that's also close to my heart, and it's one that I've addressed previously at this state conference. I want to talk about the Barrett Centre for Adolescent and Severe Mental Health Disability. For me, righting one of the Newman-Nichols regime's most outrageous wrongs, the forced closure of the Barrett Adolescent Centre in Brisbane, is a deeply personal matter for me. Its closure was beyond tragic. How could a government lock and bolt the doors around a centre whose only role was to help young people? And I'm talking about this was the last place for these young people to seek help. Their families were desperate for the help. It defied belief that a government could be so cruel and so heartless. And I'll never forget meeting 17-year-old Talia. And she said to me, at the time I was opposition leader, if this centre closes, I'll have nowhere to go. I don't know if I'm going to survive. I pleaded with the government of the day. These young people pleaded with the government of the day. Their families pleaded with the government of the day. And she lost her life, and so did 2 other young people. So what my government did is we made a commitment to those young people that we would restore hope and opportunity, that we would work with the families that had been completely distraught. We had a commission of inquiry. And can I say, there has been no prouder day for me than standing on the site at Prince Charles Hospital to announce that my government is building a brand new state-of-the-art facility, because we believe that young people with severe and complex mental health issues deserve a second chance. They deserve a chance. They deserve an education, and they deserve the support that they need. This is what a Labor government does. Friends, we can have a strong economy, and the economy is changing. We need to diversify and make sure that we create those jobs that people are looking for us to do. And my cabinet and my caucus is 100% focused on that. And at the same time, we can deliver such good social policy reform. And we will never take our eye off the ball when it comes to protecting workers' rights in this state. But let me tell you, come the next election, I need a majority government. I need a majority government to do more for this great state of ours, to do far more. And with your support, we can do that. Today, I'm very pleased to announce that our quest for that majority government starts today. The State Secretary, Evan Moorhead, has today called for expressions of interest for people to stand as Labor candidates on the Gold Coast. The battle starts today, and I know that if we can get Labor representatives, Labor members here on the Gold Coast, imagine the voice that they will have in our party and around our cabinet table. Friends, in conclusion, there is no greater honour than the honour that I hold as Premier of this state. I have an enormous sense of responsibility every single day that I wake up. And can I tell you, this week has been incredibly tough. It's been incredibly tough for all of Queensland, as we've come to deal with tragedy beyond our wildest expectations. But the Queensland that we want to see into the future is one of inclusiveness. We don't want to see fear-driven politics in our state. And I say to each and every one of you, the Queensland that I see for the future is one that is inclusive, one that is tolerant, and one that seeks to bring people together and not to divide and conquer. Because I tell you now, when we work together as one, we can achieve great things. And people may criticise the fact that I lead a consensus government. They say, oh, things are too slow, things are not happening. But let me tell you, behind the scenes, they are. Because I will work hard, my team will work hard to get the policy settings right for Queensland. And over the next 5 to 10 years, we have an enormous opportunity. Our state is on the cusp of the economy searing into the future, and we can do so much if we work together. And to do that, I need you to work as one. The Labor movement, the Labor Party, working together as one to make sure that we can deliver the best for people. Because at the end of the day, we are servants of the people. We are servants of the people, and there is nothing that drives me more than to make sure that the people of Queensland have the jobs that they need. There is nothing more important than the jobs of that family. Because if you don't have a job, can't put food on the table, and there is dignity in work. There is absolute dignity in work, and I know each and every one of you share that passion and commitment with me. So friends, we've got a long way to go. We've got a lot to do. Together as one, we can make a difference. Thank you.
Well done.